Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Lorraine County Board of Commissioners for February 23rd. Wow, February's almost over. We'll begin with our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our inspirational word for the day comes from Romans. Make every effort to do what leads to peace and to mutual edification. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Lundy,
Here.
Commissioner Hung,
Here.
Commissioner Moore.
Here.
A, resolutions.
Okay.
Number 1, investments.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Number 2, appropriations.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Number 3, transfers.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Number 4, advances and repayments. There were none.
I was going to say, I don't see any this week.
I
Okay.
had to look. Number 5, requisitions.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner.
Hang on a second.
Okay.
So under requisitions, I'll be voting to approve, but I'll be a no on 656. Any other comments? Dave, anything? No? Okay.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Travel.
So move. Any second on
Second.
travel?
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Number 7, bills.
So moved.
moved.
Oh, I'll second that one. I'll second that. So,
Discussion.
yeah, let's pay the bills, right?
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Number 8, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorraine County Commissioners. At the conclusion of today's board meeting, the Commissioners may recess into an executive session, discuss personnel, new hires, and board appointments. Number 9, approve and waive the reading of the County Commissioners meeting minutes of February 15th and 16th, 2022.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Number 10, decision on a 35.593 acres muni-owned annexation from New Russia Township to the City of Oberlin. Agent John D. Clark for petitioner, City of Oberlin.
So move.
Second or discussion? What do you want?
We have
There is no second.
Second.
Oh,
Second. Okay, now, yeah, I know that there's some education that we want to provide for the public
Yeah,
on this one and for everyone involved.
For the public and for the rest of the board, Commissioner, as we discussed yesterday, this is a unique annexation in that all of the land to be annexed is owned by the municipal corporation, in this case Oberlin. Under the statute that is at issue here, it's ORC 70916, you have no discretion at all on this issue. The law says that you shall grant annexation if the land is contiguous and if it's owned by the municipal corporation. The engineer's office has determined that it is contiguous and that it is owned by the municipal corporation. I know that an attorney for the township filed a brief yesterday saying that the legal description, in his opinion, was insufficient. In my opinion, if the engineer finds the legal description sufficient to meet that one sole statutory criteria, which is that it's contiguous, then it isn't really an approval, you're just acknowledging that it happened. The statute uses the word shall approve, so I think you have to approve it, but I don't think you have discretion not to. If there's any other questions, I can answer them, or John Clark is here, he can speak to it if you'd like.
And yeah, just so it's clear that there's no requirement for a public hearing.
There's no hearing.
There's no hearing, right?
Right, because you're not really being asked to make a decision.
Right.
You're just being asked, this is almost an automatic step.
Being asked, I'm being told.
You're being told to make a decision from which there is no appeal under the statute. Why you're being told to decide this is a question best left to the legislature, but there's no hearing on this. There's no evidence to be taken. Simply, the petition is filed, a determination is made that it's contiguous land owned by the municipal corporation, and then this board shall grant the annexation. 70916B, correct?
And I also know we're not required to provide any public comment, but as a professional courtesy, if you wish to make any comment today.
I'm just here to answer questions if you have any.
Okay.
Is there anybody else here that wished to comment?
Yeah, I don't see anybody from the
Don't see anybody.
township.
Yeah, so.
Okay. Anything we need to clarify by the board members? Because I know that when this came to us, we had many questions about it.
Well, there was, for background, this was initially filed a year ago, John, correct? And there was some discussion with the engineer about how this would affect the tax map, and the way that the lots were divided out for the annexation. Mr. Clark, the engineer, and I met a number of times, and it was determined that this was both a lawful way to do it and the way contemplated by the statute, and then the petition was refiled again. The engineer approved it, and we're here. So I think that's the only explanation I have, is that's why there was a second filing. The engineer asked for another look at partitioning, I think, of these parcels.
And for the sake of education as well, too, this is property that's already owned by Oberlin, and is there discussion about how this land's going to be used in some way?
I don't believe this parcel, I don't think there has been any.
I know this can't weigh into our decision, but for the sake of educating the public, and so, as I said, maybe
John
Mr.
probably knows that.
Mr.
I don't
Clark.
think, yeah.
So this is currently being used as the site of the city's wastewater treatment plant. It has been for decades and will be for the future decades. There's no plans whatsoever for any change in the use of this property. It's just something the city has initially sought annexation because of a project that we're doing with a company called EDL. They're taking the gas that emits from the landfill, they clean it up and they ship it out. They were going to put their facility on this parcel, but because of certain constitutional constraints, it was necessary that that parcel become part of the city. So we decided, the council decided to annex. We subsequently changed the location for the EDL project, but the city just thought it would make sense to continue with the annexation to bring it in. So there's no plans for any change in use at this time.
What were the objections raised by the township, even though the ORC clearly spells out there's
Yeah.
not really anything for them to see?
I think because there was an issue with the legal description the first time around, I tried to speak with their counsel yesterday. I wasn't able to reach him. They felt, well, you had a problem with the legal description the first time. You're just resubmitting it. Nothing's changed.
Yeah, and let me clarify I appreciate that, John. And I think there may have been some misunderstanding on Mr. Schrader's part, not his fault, but just because of the way this came in. That's why I gave you the history. The issue the engineer had the first time around wasn't with the legal description per se. It was always clear that this parcel fit within the definition of the statute. The engineer was asking Oberlin to see if it was possible to make an accommodation for tax map purposes and do a lot split so that the tax map would look, they just wanted it to look different. And that's why Mr. Clark and myself and the engineer met a couple of times to see if there was a way to do that that would make the tax map look the way the engineer wanted it to, and it was determined that that wasn't possible. So while Mr. Schrader is objecting, saying you withdrew this because the legal description was insufficient, in fact, I don't believe that's the case. It was withdrawn because we couldn't meet the timeline under the statute, and we were trying to work out a way that would make the engineer more comfortable with the tax map. But the legal description was always sufficient for statutory purposes. Is that?
Yes, thank you. That's
Yeah.
correct.
Does that help, Commissioner?
Yes. And I guess just for the sake, again, of educating the public, with the way that the law is written, it's, this is the part that's upsetting. So the legislature requires that we have a vote on this, but yet the law says that we shall approve it.
Yep. I was just talking to Mr. Clark before the meeting, that's why I was late coming up here. In my opinion, it only really matters to lawyers. I think the word should be acknowledge in the statute, because that's all you're being asked to do is acknowledge that it's contiguous.
Why can't we acknowledge it then? Well, it's not in the statute,
It's not
but
in the statute. In the statute, the statute is not permissive. The word shall to lawyers is a command. You shall do this. If you knew somebody in Columbus,
So if I say shall to you, then that's, you're not
it
going to
doesn't
take.
count for you.
Oh,
No
okay.
Michigan fans. No Michigan fans at all. But Commissioner Lundy, if you had some context in Columbus, maybe we could get the language
yeah,
changed.
right, I know.
Shall.
I know.
I write
I
down
know.
shall. Yeah, I'm circling shall.
Well, I guess I want to be very clear that, I've always been opposed to annexation. And, in this case, as our county administrator knows, I've always been opposed to annexation. The part that I find frustrating as a commissioner is for the legislature to tell me that basically how I have to vote, which is ridiculous,
It means it's not a vote.
which means it shouldn't be a vote.
Right,
It
it's not
should
a vote.
just be an acknowledgement.
Right. Yeah, if they're telling you how to do something, then you're not voting on it.
Okay. So I want to make clear today that I'm opposed to annexation. If the law had provided me the opportunity to vote no, I would vote no. But I have to comply by the law. So when I do vote today, my vote will be to acknowledge that this is, in fact, everything's in order.
So
Any other comments?
if I could just say
Yeah.
that to follow the statute, it's required that the annexation be granted by the commissioners. So acknowledgement.
It's required to be approved by the board. So we'll see how the vote comes out. My advice as the lawyer would be to say that I would suggest that the board approve it, and if there's an objection to it, because there's no discretion, say I approve it under objection. But that's up to them. I'm not going to tell an elected official how they have to vote. I think you're correct that the statute requires shall approve, but that's up to the board how they want to do it.
That's an interesting point. So I can approve under objection?
Sure.
I don't think I've used that before.
It's a new day.
It's a new day.
I plan on using that a lot.
Mr. President,
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry.
Oh, my Lord.
Got a lot longer now, didn't it?
Are you going to circle that one too?
No, I got to circle this for Dan.
Okay. Let's see. Any other comments? Have we worked this one enough? Just want to make sure the public understands how this process works and how I'm not very happy with the legislature on the way this one is set up for us to make a decision on. So,
Could I make one more clarification,
sure,
Chairman Lundy? Under this type of annexation.
if you get close to the mic.
Under this type of annexation, the property actually remains in the township, so unlike most other annexations, it's not wholly removed. This property will be in the township and in the city simultaneously. So I don't know if that helps you in any way, but
Which
that's
is the problem with the tax map.
correct, because part of this, we're not annexing the entire parcel. And that's when the problem came up, because taxing across district lines was a problem. They've come up with a solution to that, but this property will remain in the township, at least the portion being annexed.
Okay. Any other clarification, comments, concerns? Okay, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Lundy,
Madam Clerk, I will vote yes with objection.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes,
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
we shall move on.
We shall move on.
Okay, number 11, enter an electricity supply agreement based on results of the CCASO Energy Purchasing Program.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Number 12, adjust salaries of Leary Municipal Court employees representing the county's 2/5 share effective January 1st, 2022 as follows. Michael Gebhardt, bailiff for Judge Bennett, new biweekly rate is $1,000 $1,000.08. Richard Schwartz, bailiff for Judge Bennett, new biweekly rate is $1,446.19. And Jackie Vaca, bailiff for Judge White, new biweekly rate is $1,008.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hahn?
Yes.
Number 13, amend resolution.
Real quick, I'm sorry. Schwartz is a magistrate. I don't know if that's supposed to a bailiff. I don't know what information you got from them. I was just letting you guys know he's a magistrate judge.
Okay.
So anyway.
I just got it from payroll. That's who gave it to me, so
Okay. Yeah, we can,
change it, magistrate.
If we need to.
sure.
I'll make that correction. Okay. Number 13, amending Resolution 05159 adopted February 17, 2005, establishing charge for record storage, microfilming, and/or scanning by Lorraine County Record Center for the agencies and departments outside the general fund and public records requests for copies from microfilm or scanned images in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code, Section 149.43. Said amendment is to increase costs of said services.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
See our records director is here. Do you want to make some comments about this? Andrew Lippian?
I think so. Wore a tie.
I bet you he tied that himself.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have to use a clip-on. I can't tie one of
Can't do
those.
those.
Thank you, Commissioners. Yes, I did tie this myself, so just for you. So thank you for bringing me on down. The Record Center is in the process of, digitizing for the future, and we have a large paper storage. And so part of our process for digitizing is to try and get those records off of paper, but when we do manage that paper storage, we do charge departments outside the general fund, and the fees have not been updated since 2005. And all this is basically doing is getting us on board with other counties that charge departments outside the general fund. This increase is roughly commensurate with what theirs has been. And we calculate that this will enable us to make up for lost revenue from various departments digitizing records and just enable us to keep, doing the great work we're doing for the county with your support today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you did a comparison with other counties so that we were in line?
Yes, sir. I did a comparison with Wood County and Montgomery County, and these increases are below even theirs. And I looked at Montgomery County in 2005. Their fee was about $1 more than ours was in 2005, and they raised theirs to, and this is the record storage fee, they raised theirs to higher than we're currently raising them today. So we're just updating and bringing these more in line with 2022.
And you want to tell some folks how old or outdated some of these things are? We've been, still using microfiche and all those things?
Yes, in fact, the bulk of our record storage is on microfiche. Some of us might remember from the 80s that, the microfiche is where, you're looking at this small image on a little card on a screen. And, we also have microfilm. And microfilm is the most durable form of record storage. It will keep records up to 500 years if it's kept in a climate-controlled space. It is the most reliable form of records keeping besides clay tablets and papyrus leaves. So
We don't have those?
we don't use those at the Record Center. But, us microfilming enables us to keep records for 500 years. But digitizing those records, that enables us to have it on two forms, and we call that two eyes on. And that's where we have a records stored on two different mediums. So if we can get it on microfilm and if we can get it on digital, we can destroy the paper and reduce our paper footprint. That'll be a wonderful boon for the environment and for our storage space.
And then we need to work on getting to the cloud as well, too?
That's something we can definitely look at, Mr. Commissioner.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate the work you're doing. You did complete the project that we now have identified every elected county commissioner since the formation, correct?
That is correct, Commissioner Moore. We already had, a large portion of this.
Right, a lot of it was missing, right? There was a certain gap.
So, yeah, a large portion of this project was completed by Clerk Teresa Upton, and there were gaps, I guess, between the years about 1860 to 1930. And we were recovering those gaps, and we also found, at your request, Mr. Commissioner, the political party affiliations of various.
found those?
We found them all the way down to about 1860, and they include Republicans, Democrats, Whigs, and Free Soilers.
Really? Okay,
Yes.
cool. That's,
I think Free Soil Party was still around in 1860. I'm sorry. I thought the Free Soil Party was dead by the 1850s. I didn't realize it was around the 1860s.
Yeah, well, we've got a couple free soilers in the woodpile, so.
So if you look at like the name of our county streets, and there's a lot of people that settled here and their names are in there. So it's kind of interesting look at history, and
Correct, Mr.
appreciate you
Commissioner.
guys working with Teresa and getting that taken care of.
Yes, and I should add, one of the commissioners in the early 1800s was Rawson, which Grafton was named after, Rawsonville, my hometown, which then turned to Grafton. But yes, a lot of previous commissioners who have roads and towns named after them. Perhaps one of you will have a road or town named after you someday.
Maybe a restroom, but
Billy?
I don't know.
Humility.
Okay. Okay. Any other
Any
questions
more
or
love fest
comments?
stuff
Yeah.
you want to bring up? or-
I just want to thank the commissioners for supporting this resolution. It's a long time coming, so thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
okay, get out of here. Thanks, Andrew.
Okay, man.
Further?
Nope.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Under 14, Children's Services, authorize and rescind various personnel to utilize the agency's MasterCard for the year 2022, not to exceed 2,500, in accordance with the ORC and the permissible policy.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Under the engineer, 15, amend Resolution 2180 adopted February 3rd, 2021, approving a contract with Greenman Peterson, Inc. to provide construction administration and inspection services for the LOR CR1 1156 project in Leary and Sheffield Townships. Said amendment is to reflect that $73,000 be made available from account Q Construction North Ridge Road project for payment to Greenman and Peterson.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Number 16, approve and enter in a subdivider agreement with Wilkinson Farm LLC, John J. Carey subdivider for Red Fern Trail subdivision number 3 in Columbia Township.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Number 17, approve and enter an agreement with Geosite, Inc. in the amount of $100,000 for ongoing engineering, inspection, and material testing fees necessary to construct Red Fern Trail subdivision, Columbia Township. This will be paid from the engineer project account MVGT and will be reimbursed by the subdivider.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Number 18, accept and journalize the 2022 report on bridges for Lorraine County. There are 236 bridges, structures over 10 feet in clear span that the county owns and maintains and responsible for inspecting each bridge, which range in span from 10 to 305 feet.
So moved. Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, just, that's always a good report to kind of peruse and take a look at. And obviously, infrastructure is something that, the board is going to be reviewing as the federal dollars are coming in to take a look at addressing infrastructure, whether it be sewers, water, broadband, all those things. And but want to thank the engineers department for putting together this report each year.
Anything else? No. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Number 19, approve a consulting services agreement with Adaptive Engineering Group LLC in the amount of $10,000 for final engineering for guardrail project phase 7 and miscellaneous highway engineering tasks to be paid for the engineer project account.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Up next is public comment. If you'll please limit your comments to 3 minutes. If anybody in the room wishes to participate in public comment, there's a public comment form in the back of the room. We have 2 individuals who've signed up today. First, Jose Delgado. Jose is representing NOPEC and wants to speak on the subject of introducing himself to the board and talking about NOPEC. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you all doing today?
We're doing well.
As you mentioned, my name is Jose Delgado, and I work with NOPEC, which is a nonprofit energy supplier here in Northeast Ohio. We offer natural gas and electricity. Really just want to take the opportunity I am a relationship manager with NOPEC, and just take the opportunity to introduce myself. And we have about 240 communities in Northeast Ohio, or just 240-plus communities in Northeast Ohio. 16 of those are here in Lorraine County. And as relationship manager and collaborating with those communities here in Ohio, and those are cities, townships, and villages, just ought to be beneficial to me and gain some insight and value what's happening at the county level, so I can better understand the communities and what they're dealing with here in Lorraine County. So essentially that's what it was. Just wanted to take the opportunity to do that, and if there was any opportunity to answer any questions, I'm happy to do that too. But I look forward to attending more of these commissioner meetings to again gain that insight and hopefully do better by the communities I represent here in Lorraine County.
Okay. Any comments? No?
No?
Yeah, but I certainly appreciate you stopping by and introducing yourself, and, I know NOPEC's been very involved with helping to sponsor a number of things down at, in Lorraine, the Black River, and participating in that, but,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you very
and enjoy
much.
the rest of your day. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Up next would be Michael DiCarlo. Good morning, Michael.
Michael DiCarlo, 320 Alberta Vermilion. Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners. Mr. President, last time you said thanks for I spoke, you said thanks for your service. I used to just roll off my tongue. It was an honor and a privilege. I'm just right now trying to be the type of American we're serving. I know there's somebody out there doing the job that I did right now. And I don't know what the answers are, sir. I don't. I just don't believe we've started to ask the right questions. It's really wonderful because we're so important. At least we get 2/3 attention.
No, she had to clear her throat.
She's got
Yeah,
some
Understand.
respiratory issues and didn't want it.
Wow, 2/3
Understand.
important. That was pretty interesting comment.
Understand. Sorry. Sorry, ma'am.
No, I can't drink water like a normal person. I apologize.
Right on. I keep coming to these meetings. I did this when I lived in Arizona. I lived actually closer to the Canadian border to the Mexican border than we do to the Canadian border here. Seeing the growth and the outgrowth and everything. One of the driving forces from leaving there and moving back here is because I'm a pretty conservative person when it comes to a lot of government and how you use it, but I couldn't come to sit around people who would clamor and say that there's a broken government system and they think that adding more government to it will fix it. In the history of mankind, that has never happened. All it does is just accumulate and accumulate waste and find different reasons for things why we can't accomplish tasks. I keep drilling on the Department of Homeland Security. Over the last couple weeks and prior to the President's visit, I actually looked up Lorraine County Department of Homeland Security fusion centers. I would encourage you to take note of that, the word fusion centers. I'm thinking we're going to try to do a project here. I was looking at the county forms that we could use to fill up to get records. I didn't see a fusion center listing on there. Since that's a public record, I plan on submitting to retain my own fusion center. Since I've been doing this for 6 years, it'd be kind of interesting and see how many notes have been taken on me and submitted to the central government, that thing that we fought against 200 some odd years ago, because, the Department of Homeland Security and all of its abilities come out to create almost like a writs of assistance to allow the monarch to tell who is doing things right and who is doing things wrong. This is America. The United States, this is the state of Ohio. We entered this country on equal footing. We came without slavery. We came with our own public education system to teach the folks how government works. So I request mine. Would you like me to request yours? Since it's all public record, that'd be one question. And the last thing, Mr. President, I really appreciate the board here, the folks here. I've had absolutely nothing but positive experience with the vast majority of people that work for the county. I really, it's a different thing. People here don't feel entitled to have a job. They're actually happy to have one. And some folks elsewhere, when they fall off their high horse, it's going to be a long fall, and it won't be fun to watch, but it'll be like a train wreck. And depending on your perspective on what you'd like to see accomplished, my mission, personal mission, is to make Orwell fiction again. And so when we're on the animal farm, just remember, some animals get treated better than other animals, and that's just the way it goes, okay? But have a nice day, have a great week, enjoy the rest of the month. Let's get spring here, because my back is killing me. This is crazy. But just food for thought, really. When the president came here last week, he more or less proved that the United States government has bought out every government in this country. And Congressman said it with great leadership skills, and she's put it out there, laid it out there in front of everybody, that without the federal government buying out every government agency, supposedly this country wouldn't exist. So I understand we're at a precipice here. We're kind of at a cliff. We got to make a decision. But I'm just encouraging you to, I don't know what the right one is. We just, like I said, I think we need to ask more questions. Have a great day. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. DiCarlo. Okay. Seeing no other forms for public comment, that'll complete public comment. Up next, do we have an update from our county administrator, J.R. White? Shaking his head, no, nothing today. Okay. And the man who always has something for us, our Assistant County Prosecutor, Dan Petticourt.
Nice sigh. I like
Nice sigh. Yeah, could you hear it on the mic?
I have, if the board decides to go into executive session, there are 2 pieces of current litigation that I would appreciate the opportunity to discuss with you, and also, I'm trying to figure out which exception to put it under. We'll say the purchase or sale of public property to talk about this morning if we go into executive.
Okay. Thank you very much. Up next is the Commissioner's report. Kind of rotate through here. Commissioner Moore, you have an update for us this morning?
No, not really, but I do know when some animals are treated better, they're getting fattened for the slaughter, just to let you piggyback on Mike's comments, so, but I have no report.
You know, is it pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered? Is that the term?
I got him to smile. Look, he's smiling.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes, I have a report. On Saturday night, I attended a Veterans Memorial group event in North Ridgeville. And this group of folks is working on raising money to dedicate a memorial in North Ridgeville. The group was founded by Jim Molesky, a former councilman in North Ridgeville. He began the project and co-founded it with Mark Steinbrenner, and their beginnings of the project have taken shape to a board of 6 that's formed a 501c3. And so far, the group has reached 32% of their fundraising goals for the project and are applying for grants to offset the cost. And they did have an Elvis impersonator entertaining the crowd, which was very interesting. And on another note, Saturday evening, while that was going on, the 5 cities that received the Department of Homeland Security grant for their radio project were able to put their new radios to the test on Saturday night. As some of you may have heard, there was a massive fire at a home on Barton Road in North Ridgeville. Everybody did get out safely. And I had the opportunity to speak with Chief Reese yesterday, the North Ridgeville Fire Chief, and he said that the new radios have exceeded their expectations and the product performed as promised to them on Saturday night. The new radio system was activated last week, and I've received a report on it from our 911 Director Young that mutual aid was dispatched from Lorraine and Cuyahoga counties to assist with controlling the North Ridgeville fire. And the reports from the fire officials to Director Young were that the radios perform well and the multi-band capability of the system performed as they expected. Director Young also said during President Biden's visit last Thursday, the radios were given the highest test of operational capability, and 911 Director confirmed that the radios delivered clear transmission for our safety forces assisting with the President's visit. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, just to follow up on that, I want the public to be aware that, we've received a radio request from the Sheriff's Department that is being reviewed and looked at. Our legal team and our leadership team is looking at the whole radio components. Also, we are relying heavily on our consultant, Mission Critical, to make sure that everything is reviewed, to make sure that 100% it's in the county's best interest for anything that we move forward with, to make sure that the vendors also will step up to the plate. And all this board is waiting for right now is basically the leadership team and the legal team to put in front of us the information so that then we can make a voting decision. We did get information from Mission Critical, had a meeting with them on Friday, and that's been shared with the entire board to review. And so I just want the public to know that, you know, we are moving on things. It's just a matter in government. We have to make sure we dot the i's and cross the t's, make sure that everything is legally sound, and these projects carry a very hefty price tag. Technology changes rapidly, and regardless of which direction we end up going, because of new technology, it's very expensive. So this is going to be a large investment that the county is going to have to make, but it's an important investment for the safety of the residents. I was glad to hear that things went well with the radios that were used at that fire, which that's one of the worst fires I think I've ever seen. There was no way they were going to send anybody into that building or that home for sure. But a lot of our safety forces have tested these systems and are pleased with the response that they're getting. So right now we're just waiting to follow the direction of legal, make sure all the contracts are reviewed, make sure the consultant's good with everything wrapped up, that everything is in the county's best interest, and any large investment that we'll be making, that hopefully we have done our due diligence and all of our homework before we proceed on anything. I also want to point out that, you know, the board is continuing to take a look at some of these veterans projects that are in the community, including the initiative over there in North Ridgeville. That's going to be a pretty big project. We can never do enough to recognize our veterans for their service in the county. There's been discussions with a Purple Heart initiative that's taking place over at Lakeview Park, and then also the Polish American veterans have a project that they're working on. We shouldn't lose sight of the fact that they are trying to bring to Lorraine an Ohio Hispanic veterans site, which would be in the city of Lorraine. That would be to recognize Hispanic Latino veterans who served our country, and that state site would be in Lorraine. So there's a number of projects out there that are being worked on, and we're reviewing them at this time along with our Veteran Services Commission to try to figure out what role we might be able to play with those. Up next would be the President's visit. I had the opportunity to meet with President Biden for about 2 minutes, but normally it's about 30 seconds, but it was about 2 minutes. And I think the reason it ended up being a longer discussion is that I had said to the President that I understand that you started your political life in county government on county council. And his response to me was, yes, I did. Then he edged in closer and said, put his hand on my shoulder and said, one of the most frustrating jobs I ever had. He said, I got blamed for everything that went wrong in the county, and I would explain to people what my duties and responsibilities were, and even when I would campaign and go door to door, explain what my responsibilities were, and after everything was all wrapped up, I still got blamed for everything that went wrong in the county. And so I indicated to him that things really haven't changed. It seems like if the county's in the name, a lot of individuals believe that, you know, we run the operations just because they have Lorraine County in the name, whether it's the health department or rural water or whatever the case may be. But a lot of them have their own boards, the metro parks. I get calls about the metro parks all the time. So it's always an education process, but I really enjoy this job tremendously. But yes, we do get blamed for a lot of things that are not under our jurisdiction. So that was it's always nice to have a president come to town, and I thought Lorraine did a great job and was showcased there nationally. Also, Mayor Bradley had his State of the City address on Friday. I thought that went very well. He was very complimentary of this board for our help with the Black River cleanup, and also with our help on the community protection team as we work our way through the pandemic. Mayor Corcoran in North Ridgeville, I believe, has his State of the City on Friday, so looking forward to that. And then Mayor Whitfield with Elyria has his State of the City next week. Also, I thought it was just great. I think a lot of us in the Cleveland area were beaming with pride hosting the NBA All-Star Game. That's pretty cool when your community's put on the national stage. did not have a chance to attend any of those events downtown, but did have the opportunity to attend when the NFL draft was in town. I think that was last year. And it's just great whenever the region is put in the national spotlight. So while we live in Lorraine County and call Lorraine County home, anytime Cleveland is in the national spotlight, it's a source of pride for all of us. And that completes my report.
Okay.
Next, we have the clerk's report.
Commissioner Center Retirement Proclamation of Roberta Skaggs, JFS employee for 24 years, and the commissioners will not meet next week.
Okay.
Board correspondence?
Move to
Move
waive.
to waive the reading of the board correspondence.
Second, to whichever one was the first.
Putting the pressure on her.
You gonna put it on her now? Oh, well, I took yours and I took hers as a second, so
Oh,
that's
okay.
what.
Oh, I didn't even hear Dave.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's
I
okay.
didn't hear him down here.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Lundy.
I was going to say, that's my big head blocking the volume coming over your way. Sorry about that.
Yes.
So, yes, okay, thanks, Dave. We have a second on that one? Thanks. Okay. Didn't miss that opportunity,
No, I
did you?
didn't. I had
Of
to
course
take
not.
command.
Okay. Well, at this point, I would move that we go into executive session for the reasons explained by the Assistant County Prosecutor.
Second.
Discussion.
Shall we go into exec?
Shall go into executive session, sure.
He's just smiling. Okay, that's it for my discussion.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Okay. We have returned from executive session. I'll make the motion to approve the personnel summary sheet.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Any other business come before the board? Seeing none, this meeting is now adjourned.